Hi everyone, this is Laura Hammock from the Marble Jar channel, and in today's video I will share my visual representation of healthy versus unhealthy behavior during conflict, keeping the door open. When I meet with couples for couples counseling, one of the very first things I want to do is start to understand how each partner behaves during conflict. Every couple has a pattern or a dance that they do. Maybe partner A criticizes, partner B gets defensive, and then partner A storms out. Or maybe partner B gets upset and pouts, then partner A gets mad and tries to figure out what's going on, which makes partner B shut down even more, and you have a pursue withdraw pattern. Or maybe you're a couple that has several dances that you do, depending on the scenario. In all these cases, the faster I can figure out what their typical dance is, the faster each person can start to identify their own behavior to change, and the faster the dynamic will begin to shift, which is what you ultimately want. So this all sounds pretty straightforward, but it can be really hard to pin down. After all, each person can tell me 20 things their partner is doing wrong, but they generally have a harder time telling me what they themselves might do differently. So that's why I find it helpful to use this visual analogy of two rooms and a door. So just a couple of notes before we get started. First of all, this is my artwork. One of my pandemic projects that has persisted is an interest in digital art. Most recently, I've been creating artwork that helps to illustrate my therapy and relationship analogies. I tend to think visually, and sometimes my thoughts are just much easier to explain in images rather than words. My couple in this analogy is represented by a male and a female character, but that's just to make them easy to tell apart. There's no gender significance. Okay, let's jump in. So this is Yellow's room. This room is full of all of the things that make Yellow who she is. Her wants, her dreams, her fears, what's important to her, what experience she's had, her feelings, and her thoughts. It represents Yellow's self. And this is Blue's room. Blue's room represents his self, his wants, dreams, hopes, feelings, thoughts, etc. Between Yellow's room and Blue's room is a door that connects them. Yellow and Blue want to have a good, healthy relationship. So to do this, what is the healthiest way for them to behave during conflict? I will answer this question, and it is to keep the door open. By that I mean Yellow can describe what's important to her, and Blue can talk freely about what's important to him. They can take turns talking and listening. They can ask curious questions and not get defensive or take things personally, and they can present their own perspective without blaming, criticizing, or shutting down. And if they can do those things, the light from Yellow's room and the light from Blue's room can mingle together and create this beautiful green glow of connection. This green glow of connection is the key to emotional and physical intimacy, collaboration, compassion, and empathy. It's what most of us want from our relationships. It's important to note that no one is able to keep the door open all the time. Our brains are wired to connect with others and protect us from harm, but unfortunately we can't do both at the same time. Keeping the door open is an act of vulnerability. Once we feel under threat, we want to move toward a more protective stance. Threats can look different for everyone, but even small differences with our partner can feel like a threat, and the more consequential the difference, the bigger the threat feels. As a result, there are several protective strategies that do not promote connection during conflict. So before we get into those, I just want to mention some behavior that you definitely want to avoid if you are trying to build a better connection with your partner. My acronym for these is JAB. I have a whole video on this, but let's run through them quickly. J stands for judge. If you judge, criticize, or put down your partner, they are going to feel bad about themselves and they are not going to want to keep talking to you. A stands for argue. There are a lot of ways to argue. You can defend yourself, deny, minimize their claims, and generally want to win. Arguing makes your partner feel wrong, which steps on connection. And finally, B. B stands for blame. If they are trying to let you in, don't make them at fault. JAB behaviors, judging, arguing, blaming, are universally bad for connection, so stay away from them. Okay, so now back to our couple and their 3 unhealthy conflict strategies. The first is that you pull to win. You can see that Blue is trying to pull Yellow over into his room. He is telling her a lot about what he wants, but he is not listening to her side at all. And because of this, there is no nice green glow of connection. It's all blue and no yellow. In action, this can look like convincing, pleading, arguing, pressuring, manipulating, solutioning too fast, or fixing. Add a jab to this and you get demanding, forcing, lecturing, and judging. The next unhealthy strategy is that you choose to lose. In this scenario, blue is choosing to walk right out of his room and go stand in yellow's room. This looks like giving in, complying, or going with the flow. Add a jab to this and you get resentful compliance. Now you can see that yellow is getting what she wants, but blue has completely abandoned himself. Yellow doesn't even know that he's sacrificing anything in order to make her happy. There is no green glow of connection since it's all yellow and no blue. And the final unhealthy strategy is that you shut the door. In this scenario, blue is refusing to engage. He just shuts the adjoining door and retreats into his own room. This can emotionally look like shutting down and withdrawing, and behaviorally it can look like not talking about things, lying, doing it anyway, sneaking. You add a jab to this and you get silent treatment, punishment, and passive-aggressive behavior. And at its worst, insults and name-calling. This one also requires the least explanation. There's obviously no way to have a green glow of connection when you have the door closed. Each person is behind a door, alone in their own room. So that sounds pretty easy, right? Just keep the door open. And it's true. If you're talking about something non-threatening like what you like to drink first thing in the morning, it's really easy. You can be curious, open, and honest. But if you're talking about something hard, like whether you live close to your family or close to your partner's family, well, it can be much, much more difficult to be curious, open, vulnerable, and empathetic to your partner's perspective. So, when you are at your worst, what is the unhealthy strategy that you use during conflict? Comments are always appreciated, and thanks for watching.